Hey guys!
Hello everybody!
Welcome back to the Mom Suit. I'm Colette. This is Kaylee and Carly. And today we're going to talk about moms.
Moms. That's a good topic.
No.
I'm excited for this. When you told us what you're talking about,
Oh, really? Oh, good.
This is a good topic.
This has been a life changer for me, honestly. Okay, so I read a book. You actually suggested it, Rising Strong by Brené Brown.
I love her. I have a girl crush on her.
It's a really good book. But she's a shame researcher. And so I learned a lot about shame and like its role in my life and like why do I have this? I do not want this. And like shame resilience and trying to overcome and learning how to overcome shame in my life because, okay, so there's guilt, which is like, you know, you do something wrong, you realize you did it, and you want to change it. You know, it's like, okay, I said something really nasty to Carly because I do that all the time.
She texts me the meanest things like
I
cry every day.
do, seriously. And I feel bad about it, so I'm like, I want to make that right. Like, that's genuine, like, guilt.
I think if Colette said something mean, I would just laugh. I'm like, I love you. Anyways, back to the mean
But you know, the whole concept. But shame is a whole nother different thing. See?
Don't shame yourself for
I'm not, though.
mixing
See,
up your
I'm
words.
embracing that. I'm going to use it.
I'm gonna go with it.
I'm going to go with it. But feeling shame is something different. I don't think we're meant to feel that way. It holds us back.
Right.
Like, and I call it mom guilt. Mom guilt's the same as shame to me because we don't need to feel guilty as moms. There's so many things that we put on our shoulders. Like, oh, my lunches aren't as good as so-and-so's lunches are for their kids, or my hair it's falling out, or this. You know, we've just are constantly talking bad about ourselves,
Right.
Shaming ourselves, holding on to those little things that, oh, maybe I should be doing that, and I'm not doing that, and my life isn't as good, and I hate that.
No, and why is it such a natural feeling to feel?
It is.
It's almost like that misery loves company. Like, it's almost like you're justifying things in a way when you're like shaming yourself. Like, well, it's because she's more put together, and so that's why it's happening. It's like, it's just, I feel like the shame starts a cesspool of so many other things that just pull it all in. It's just a big, dirty, messy cesspool.
Right. It's true. And I've thought about this, and I'm like, why? How does this happen? And I think we can sometimes take things that are, I don't know, in society or like normal in our lives, and we start to feel shame for it. You know, like, so I feel like we're taught to be like good people, and honest, and do all these things, and then if we fall short in any way, then we start to shame ourselves.
Right.
And that can come from upbringing, from the way people talk to us or whatnot, but it's a lot of times it's the cycle that we keep saying over and over in our own minds.
Right.
So I have a couple books that my dad gave me that were my mom's, like journals and just some random notebooks that she, you know, just sketched in, or that she was writing a talk in church, and so she wrote some stuff down, and that to me was so valuable.
Yeah.
Because that's stuff that she knew nobody was planning on reading. It was just her, and you know, self-discovery, exploring her own life, and she wrote down a quote. Well, it was a poem. So this poem that she wrote down was called, I think it's called Millie's Red Dress. I'm totally slaughtering it, but I left my notes, so whatever. We're going to put a link in the description below. But the poem is about a mom, and she's dying, basically.
My goodness.
And, you know, her whole life, she did everything for everybody else, because that's what you're taught to do as a woman. You take care of your kids, you take care of your husband, you take care of your home, and you just keep doing for everybody else, and you don't focus on yourself. And I'm not saying that's that way for everyone, but I think oftentimes we make it that way in our minds, that, oh, it's better if I do things for everybody else.
Right.
I don't think it's supposed to be that way, because we really need to take care of ourselves first before we can genuinely have what it takes to love other people.
Right.
Right.
So if we're taking care of other people first and not taking care of ourselves, that's not gonna last.
It's like that
you know?
saying, you can't sell from an empty wagon. Like, you can't keep giving when you're empty inside.
Right.
And I know that we know that, like, we know this. We tell each other this, like, we know that we have to take care of ourselves first. We have to love ourselves first before we can, you know, do all these things for other people. But why is it so hard? Even when we know, like, we know better.
It's with everything else. It's like becomes a habit. Like, you get into those days, those weeks, those months that turn to years, where you get into that motion, and those motions become habits, and that habit is just like the story we keep telling ourselves, and then when we fall short, it's the guilt and the shame.
Right.
And I think sometimes it takes those big life-altering moments, and maybe they're not big in life and altering, or it takes those days where we absolutely crash, to bring us to that self-realization point that, oh my gosh, like what have I done for myself lately? And I think sometimes when I think about it, I'm like, if that's the worst that you're doing, that's like, it's like a good problem to have, that you're serving so many other people that you forget to serve yourself. But I think, I love that you're talking about this because it's such a good reminder. I think there's too much guilt associated with focusing on yourself, and it can come across very like about me. But it's so true. Like if we don't take time for ourselves, does that make us better women? Does it make us better moms, wives, sisters, friends? Like what does that translation, what happens with the translation of who are we if we don't know who we are to give to other people?
Right. And when I was reading that poem and she talked about, you know, don't live your life like me. I gave everything to everybody else and I didn't focus on myself. And in the poem, she actually went out and bought a red dress for herself.
And I was like, where does the red dress? I'm just picturing that like emoji red dress, you know, that like little sauce number.
Well, she went out and bought this red dress for herself, but she never wore it.
Oh.
She had it up in her closet, and her daughter, you know, when her mom is getting ready to die, her daughter's like, where did this dress come from? I've never seen you wear it. And she was like, let me tell you a story. Like, let me tell you about my life and what you need to do. Don't do it the way I did it, you know? And when I got done reading that poem, I was like I was a puddle on the floor. I was just crying, and I thought, to me it was a very special moment because I realized my mom had that same feeling that I've had, you know, where you just feel like, I am exhausted. I cannot give anything else. But then when you start to take care of yourself, you get triggered to thinking, this is selfish. I feel guilty and I should not be taking care of myself. I should not be doing this. I want to do that, but do I really need to? And something switched in me that I was like, this is not the right way to live. You know, like we don't need to constantly think that because we're taking care of ourselves, we're being selfish. And I've told myself, I am selfish, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to take care of myself first, and then everybody else can fall in after that.
Well, I think it's easier for us to keep giving when we are taking care of ourselves. We don't get burnt out as fast. And then I think it also helps with shame. And that seems weird because it does feel selfish to like take time for yourself. But if you are like in a good place with yourself and you're happy and you know like you're being taken care of, you have more to give to your family, then you're not comparing yourself to other people as much because you're in a good place with yourself. And I notice I start to shame myself or like point out other people and like gossip or when I'm in a bad place. So whenever I'm getting to that point, I'm like, okay, bring it back. What's going on with me? I'm really not mad about that. I really don't care if they're better at that than me. What's going on with me? So when we take care of ourselves, it's just easier to like push that guilt away.
Yeah.
That's so smart too, because usually it is when you're projecting your negativity on someone, it's because of something inside of you that you're not pleased with.
Yeah, that's like not adding up. I think something that I've had to learn to do is set boundaries, like and emotional boundaries with myself. It was like a couple weeks ago, I hadn't like gotten out of the house. Like I feel like sometimes when you just like, have I even left the house in a week? Like, am I bra on? Is my hair combed? Like, and I just like, you know, I just need a day. And so I had a little girl's day out. I went down to Salt Lake and got my eyebrows waxed and just like went to lunch. And I had Elliot with me, but it still felt like I was doing something for myself. And Jackson had called and Diego was like sick and Cooper was late because I had arranged a babysitter to drop him off. And all these things weren't going great. And I immediately felt so like sick and guilty. I'm like, I should be home. I shouldn't have left. Like, I can't believe I like am out shopping. My dog is sick and Cooper is missing. And it just like, I felt so bad that I wasn't there. And then I thought, you know what? Like, I think it's good for Jackson because usually I'm there to pick up the pieces and put the ducks in the row and make it all work and happy and feel good. And I think that it was good for a relationship because one, he admitted, he's like, I just can't handle those things when you're gone. And I'm like, well, hopefully that makes you appreciate.
See how awesome I am?
Yeah, see? And then two, like, I just like had to set those boundaries. Like, there's nothing, I didn't know this was gonna happen. I couldn't control this. It's good that I'm taking this day because tomorrow I'm going to be such a better mom because I feel recharged.
Yep.
Yes.
And so I think setting those emotional boundaries for yourself and like calling yourself out when you realize that, you know, you're feeling like you're comparing yourself or like negative about others, like how you said, like, whoa, pull it back.
I mean, you have to.
I love how you said, pull yourself
I
back.
was like, come on, Kaylee, what's going on with you?
I think I've done that a couple times, like Instagram, scroll trolling in the bathroom, like, she's so skinny, ew. Whoever says it about somebody, ew, she's skinny, ew.
I do.
Good for
when
her.
I'm in a bad place, I'm like,
I know, ew, look how hot and sweet she is, ew.
Dang it.
Just, come on, we've all been. And then instead of being like, good for her, like, she should motivate me instead of being like, ew.
I
don't
think
know
that's
where that
the
one,
hard
sorry.
thing though, is like knowing, like how do you find that balance? Because that's one thing I noticed that you said is like I should do this and I should do that, and that's one thing that I decided is a 4-letter word in my house is should, because every time I say it, it means I'm not.
Oh, I get it, like a swear word. I was
Yeah,
like, that's
not 4 letters.
Sorry.
No, but I thought, okay, if I ever say to myself, oh, I should do that, then think, okay, wait, is that something that I genuinely want to do and I'm not taking the time to do because I'm not taking care of myself?
Right.
Or is that something that I want to do because because I'm judging myself? So
Right.
there's a difference. And so anytime I think that in my mind, like, oh, I should do that, then I switch it and I think, okay, wait, do I want to do that? Is that something I need to fit in? Or am I judging myself and I need to let that go and throw it out?
Yeah.
Right.
So trying to like give yourself checks and
I
balances
like it.
so that you're not constantly, shaming yourself and putting this weight on yourself and, oh, I should do this and I should do that. And, oh, I'm just drowning under this guilt. It's
Yeah.
just exhausting. Like, stop doing that.
Do you guys feel like, I feel like it does, but do you guys feel like social media plays a part in that?
I think social media plays a part in everything.
Yes.
All the good and negative. I just
100%.
it's like highlights, and it's such a cliche topic and so many people have talked about it, but it's something like sometimes I just have to give myself a social media timeout. I'm like, this isn't fulfilling me for the day. This isn't making me feel happier or inspired or better. Like, I just need to get off social media for the day.
Yeah.
Because I think that it's like everyone's highlights and the best moments of their life, and you get on there and you see those, and it's like this reminder, like, well, my house should be clean like hers, and I should be working out like her. And sometimes it's like you just don't need that.
Yeah.
And not that
Right.
that person's doing anything wrong, and it should never take away from them, but it also doesn't need to take away from you because somebody else is doing something great.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that sometimes just like if you're feeling that way, take a break on social media and make note of how it makes you feel. You know, as much as I like love this industry and I love doing what we do, sometimes I just feel like unplugging for a long time.
It's so good.
Or just putting your content out there and maybe not caring as much about the feedback. But it's hard because it kind of gauges like but sometimes I think unplugging can be refreshing.
Yeah.
I think so too. That's one thing for me, just because I took such a long break, and when I pulled the plug, it was like I pretty much ghosted everyone. I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't say anything. I was just gone. And there was a part of me that was like, oh, this is so crazy. I don't know if I can do this. But there was another part of me that it was like I could let go. I just let go, and I went totally inward and focused on myself.
Yeah.
And I needed that. I mean, obviously there was stuff happening, and I really needed that for myself. But I've noticed that since, working my way back to coming back, I thought from now on, when I put stuff out there, I want it to be from my heart. I don't want it to be because I felt judged or because I want to be like somebody else or because if these comments wanted to hear this thing, that I don't really want to talk about. I wanted it to be totally for me, where I could express who I am. And
Right.
that's when the fire under me started. It was like, I'm so excited.
Yes, I love seeing this.
Well, I do. I feel genuinely like more free now, and it's made me more able to, when I do scroll through social media, it's exciting and I have so much fun. I'm like, oh, look at what so-and-so's doing and look at this. But then when I am doing it too much and I notice that I'm like, oh, I'm not doing that, and that's my trigger to put it down and focus on myself again.
Yeah.
Okay, what do I want to do? What makes me excited? What makes me light up?
Right.
I love
and
that
then,
so much.
And I love, yes, just what you said. Let's do it.
You know what I think is so strange too? The other day, this was funny when you said we were talking about mom guilt. I was walking Winston into preschool. He just started school, and I was holding him, and he like hugged me tighter, and he said, "Thank you, Mom." And I was like, and in such like a split moment, I felt so happy that he was like a good boy, and he's thanking me, and he's excited. And then I felt guilty. Like, am I not taking him to do enough things? Is like, why is he thanking me for this? Like, is it because I like shelter him too much and I keep him home and like he's finally getting to do something, so he's so excited? And it was like all of these conflicting things going back and forth in my head instead of just enjoying it. Instead of just like, you know, whatever. Like, yeah, I have kept him next to me his whole life, but now he's like doing this and he's happy and he thanked me, and like that's so cute. But
Nothing feels better
it's
than when
just
your
so-
kids like acknowledge like a good thing. You're like, yes.
Doesn't it so crazy how like instantly I feel like
Yes.
all of these things like clashing.
It's so true. And it's kind of sad how we do that to ourselves.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing wrong with what
I
you've
know,
done.
right? Yeah, I was just like, why am I feeling guilty right now? This is good. No way.
I think the balance of it is good. I think women are so good at multitasking, and that's nothing against men, because I know that some men are great multitaskers. But I do think that we are really good at seeing the good and the bad immediately in situations, and that makes us kind of balanced. I just think it's like how you finish that thought that is the most important thing, that you're like, I think it's good that you thought, oh, he thanked me. Okay, wait, am I taking out good enough? Yeah, I am. That's why he's thanking me. And then you leave it on a positive
Yeah.
note. Because I think it's kind of good to go back and forth and to have these conversations in our head, but I think you should leave them on positive notes. And you set those boundaries and you don't let it go negative and you don't dwell there. The same thing happened. Cooper like thanked me for letting him have a sleepover. And I felt like, oh, he's like recognizing that, you know, sleepovers are really rare for us. We don't do them a lot. It's usually only with family.
Only with family, right.
And so he was so happy. He just kept all day, thank you so much, Mom, thank you so much. And so then it's funny, my second thought was, should I be that mom that lets him have sleepovers?
Yeah,
Like that meant so much to him. Like, am I a bad mom? I immediately, and I was like, nope, like just focus on what he
that's good,
said.
yeah.
And, you know, no, I'm not that bad mom. And it's like, I have all these stories in my head.
Oh, it's so crazy, and how like instantly and how quickly like everything just fills up in your brain. And you're like,
Have you ever seen those memes of like a guy and a woman in bed, and she's like, he's probably thinking about this and this, and my house is a mess. And she has this like the huge thought bubble, and he's thinking, how do flies stick to the wall? How are their feet sticky? I was laughing. Jackson showed me a meme like that. I'm like, it's so true.
it's true. Yeah.
But I think it's because men are linear thinkers. They think in these patterns like do, and then they solve it and they move on.
Which is helpful. I mean,
Yes.
it's great.
That's why I think sometimes we make good pairs. But women are
Yes.
like, it's like a pinball machine, you know?
We have to learn to hone it in.
You know, focus on the one thing.
Yes.
I love this topic though. I'm
Yes.
really glad you brought it up.
And I loved what you said because it helps me remember it's like we don't need to rob ourselves of joy.
Yeah.
Like, what a joyful moment to hear Winston say thank you to
It
you.
was like such a great thing.
And then we rob ourselves.
Right.
It's like,
Yes.
oh, no, don't feel that joy. But I think embracing the moments of joy and focusing on gratitude, like it can have so much power for our souls.
Right.
You know, like we don't need to feel guilty.
Right.
Really, like that makes me happy.
yeah, let the guilt go.
Yeah, let it go.
I love that.
Yes. So thank you guys. I love that topic. If you have any thoughts or comments that you want to leave about that, leave it in the comments below. And also if you want to hear any other topics that came out to you as we were speaking, that would be
Yes.
awesome to hear. So as always, follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll see you guys later.
Love y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, you guys.